Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Reality Roundup. I'm Mariama. That's Maddie. Today we are going to be talking about episodes 1 through 3 of The Traitors. Um,
Hmm.
it was an exciting batch of
It
episodes.
was.
Please check the playlist in the description box for our recap of episode 4 as well. That will be uploaded by the time you see this. So,
Hmm.
Maddie, how are you?
I'm doing just fine, friend. How are you?
I'm great. This was your introduction to the Traitors. What were your thoughts?
Oh my God, it's so camp. I love
So
it.
you're
I do. I do. I really do. Because I did not know anything about anything, as is par for the course for all of these shows. And so it was a little bit of a steep learning curve, but I think they did a good job in the first three episodes for someone like me who's never watched it before. And
Yeah.
I love it. It's very camp. It's also like weirdly serious.
It was it was a
Yeah.
very very good first batch. Like
I'm
I
happy.
like these 3 episodes were so great. I was
Hmm.
so excited. Like after
Hmm.
every single thing that was happening in every episode was just like getting me so hyped.
Yeah.
I actually watched it screaming, like yelling at my computer like while I was looking at it. Um
Also, everyone's serving looks.
let's get started.
Hmm.
We will talk each episode individually. I just want to get your thoughts on the traitors.
Like who the traders are.
Mhm.
Oh. So at this point we have Danielle. Let's see if I can free recall. We got Danielle, Bob the drag queen, TDQ, Carolyn, and Boston Rob.
Boston
Yeah.
Rob. So
Yes.
Boston Rob we learn is a traitor at the end of episode 1, which was interesting because this is the first
Yeah.
time that they've had we see Boston Rob. I thought that at first I was kind of upset cuz I was like this is so crazy. Like y'all already had him in all of the promotional stuff. Like we knew he was going to be here cuz they presented it like it was this like big thing. He pulled his hood
Yeah.
down and they ask him whether he wants to or they Alan asks the group whether they
Mm.
want to murder banish one of their
Mm.
fellow castmates in order to welcome Boston Rob into the game.
Mm.
Boston Rob lets them know, hey, whoever does it, whoever takes Alan up on his deal, and you bring me in, I promise I will be very very loyal to you. I got your back to the end of the game.
Sure.
Nobody takes the deal. And then I was like, what the hell? Like, y'all got
Yeah.
Boston Rob here just for this mess? Like, this is so silly.
Yeah.
But lo and
Hmm.
behold, in the woods, Fergus.
Truly in the woods.
Fergus brings Boston Rob back to meet with Alan under the cover of darkness in
Hmm.
secret. And Alan
Hmm.
lets Boston
Hmm.
Rob knows that he will be made a traitor and allowed
Yes.
to re-enter the game.
Yeah.
And this is the karma for the people that did not want to. Which I want to think about this.
Let's.
I don't think there's any shot that Boston Rob wasn't going to come into this game as a traitor. I think if somebody would have did the thing
Yeah.
and he came in, he probably wouldn't have been a faithful, right? Like he probably would have just been a traitor, and then that other person would have been allowed to come back in.
I feel
Is
like it's
there
just
a
kind of
world where we could have gotten 5 traitors out of this? Like,
maybe, but it's everything I know about Boston Rob only literally through this because I don't watch Survivor. It just seems like it would be a waste to make him a faithful.
well, I mean, like, yes, like, I mean, for the audience, like, I have thoughts
Yeah, that's what I'm
about like
saying.
some of the other like key reality television stars that I think maybe there were some missed opportunities for more traders amongst the mist, but like,
Is there supposed to be a certain amount of traders?
we typically start with 3, and last season they were able to recruit one. Well, they started with 2 in the turret, and then they were able to recruit one. And then
Okay.
like later on, they were able to recruit another one. Um,
Okay.
but yes, season 1 we started out with 3.
Okay.
Yep. So we
Yes.
usually do start with 3. The truth is really though it could be any number of people, and that's one of the reasons why it's so hard to be a faithful because you just don't know.
Because you just don't know. Yes. I mean, this is fantastic. And then Boston Rob comes back into the game with two other people.
Yes. Well, before we talk about that,
Well,
let's talk
comes
about
into
the
the game.
traders. Our thoughts on the traders.
I mean, I just love Bob the Drag Queen, period.
Mhm.
I Carolyn, I'm utterly neutral about just because I don't know anything about her. Danielle is getting on my nerves.
From episode one, from episodes 1 through 3.
I want to say maybe episode two.
Okay.
Like the first time she does a little bit of crying at breakfast. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, why are we doing this? Like, why are we doing this much? Like, it felt too big to me. Like the way that drama coaches are like, you're being too big.
Yeah.
It felt too big to me.
I must say, like at episode one, I everything I saw from the Traitors in episode one, loved, loved, loved. Like the
Absolutely.
reveal was one of the best ever.
Hmm.
The one moment that I can like really think of that like stood out was Bob the drag queen and Danielle sitting on that raft after they both elect to hop out of the boat, and they're just like,
Yes.
oh my god, they gonna kill me, girl, they gonna kill me.
They ate. Like literally bring them their daytime Emmy awards. Like that was
It was
fantastic.
so it was so so
So
funny just
good.
them sitting on the raft like
Yes.
playing faithful for each other and neither of them clocking the other. So
No. And then
their
absolutely keying in the turret.
yes, their reveal in
Yes.
the turn was one of the best ever. And
So
honestly,
happy
not
about
for
it.
nothing, I think Caroline is a great or Carolyn. I think Carolyn is a great choice for a traitor. I actually
Hmm.
think, and I'm gonna talk a little bit more about this. I think of all the traders, she is the best position to win as a trader.
Interesting. I don't
Be-
disagree, but why do you think
I
that?
think she will. I think her superpower is that she will be. Actually, no. I think she will be. Come on. Did I forget English? She will be underestimated.
You did, the fear in your eye was that you literally did forget English. Oh my God, you scared me. Yes.
I think she will be underestimated
Mm.
forever. And then I
Agree.
think her superpower is that she does not take that sort of those sort of slights personally,
Yeah.
and it like she really for as like demonstrative as she is in her reactions, she really does hold her emotions quite well. And I think because she does
Yes.
all of the other stuff, people don't always like read that like they don't always like perceive like how actually controlled she is. It
Yeah.
was the
Like
same
she
thing
just
on her
seems like
season of
a
Survivor.
general level of what I'm calling jittery because I don't
Mm,
know what else to call it.
yeah, for
And
sure.
so like any fluctuation in that isn't really noticeable. Like she doesn't seem discernibly more nervous at any
Yeah.
other
Like
time.
I think about the moment where I think it was like either Bob Harper or maybe one of the Bambis were like, oh my gosh, she's just a bag of nuts, and she heard them, and like, and the restraint she had to like not immediately turn around, like, excuse me, like to hold that and like walk off and be like, oh my god, I heard them say this about. I think
Yeah,
that's gonna get her like really far.
I think so.
I think we saw that on her season of Survivor as well too, where she was underestimated and ended up sitting
Yeah.
in the
And
finals.
I think it's the exact opposite energy of why Danielle gets on my nerves is because it's just doing too much.
I actually think Danielle, and this is super apparent to me around like late episode 2, episode 3. Danielle and Bob are playing too hard. Is like
Yeah.
what I started thinking. Like I thought they both did a great job. I thought even Danielle's like show of emotion in the first episode when she comes off the raft where she's like crying and stuff. I thought that was like done well. Like it totally read faithful. It read someone who
Mhm.
doesn't have a lot of ties in the mansion.
Mhm.
Like now all of a sudden 12 people are safe. I'm in a small group. I just think she could not stop herself. Like
Yes.
I think they
Yes.
both got into the role so much that they
Yeah.
actually lost a little respect for their fellow players and they started treating them like dummies. And I think that ultimately
Yeah.
that's why both of their names are floating right now, because people just kind of started going like, you kind of seem like you're trying to play me. Like no doubt you're
Hmm.
scared, sure, but like I feel like I want to get rid of you just because I think you're trying to play me, even if you aren't a
Yeah.
traitor.
Yeah, absolutely. I would just love like, even though this is obviously my first season of the Traders, I would want like a completely chaotic situation. I would want the traders to just be pulling names out of a hat. Like just names out of a hat. Like they've decided just pulling names out of a hat and just like having no strategy and having it be utter chaos. I would love to see that.
The I wouldn't, but like I get what you're saying. Because
Hmm.
I think the issue is like as a trader, you want allies. What you don't want to do is just to pull your allies out of the hat, right?
Yeah.
And then at a
That
certain point,
was
it's
so
going to be like,
dumb.
wait, all of your allies are dead, but you're still alive. Obviously, you're a traitor. Like you're trying to throw us off the
Very
scent.
fair.
Like,
Yes.
um, so let's talk about it. So we come up, we get in the first episode.
Hmm.
Well, episode one, we meet a lot of people. Anybody here stand out to you?
Um,
Anybody you're excited about?
I was excited. Well, I don't know about excited. I think the only person I was excited about, honestly, was Zac Efron's brother and Bob and the Drag Queen, just because I think that they're
Zac Efron's
interesting.
brother has a name. We cannot do this for the rest of the season.
Dylan, I'm so sorry. Dylan, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Dylan Efron. And then weirdly enough, because I don't watch a lot of reality TV, I was a little bit nostalgic for Bob H. Because
Mm,
I did watch Big Brother, wrong.
biggest loser.
Biggest Loser with my parents growing up. And so I was kind of excited to see Bob H. But other than that, I don't know like any of these people. And so I was just kind of like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay. I was very excited about Ayan.
She's fantastic.
And
She's
I
fantastic.
literally just knew she was getting to the end. I was like, she is
Oh.
she's this season's Cherie Whitfield. Like Cherie, she just has no understanding of the game. Who would want to kill her if you're a traitor? Like she's not gonna catch any traitors. Just take her to the end.
She was so much fun.
I loved her, and I was super excited for like the one liners. She's so charismatic,
She's so cute.
and she's so good in a confession. I was so excited for the one liners and the outfits, and Lord have mercy.
I
I actually
mean,
thought like this is
diabolical.
when I started losing faith in in Danielle and Bob because I thought this was a really bad
Yes.
kill.
Oh, yes.
I thought that was a very like bad murder kill very bad murder
Hmm.
and I was kind of heartbroken for her and I was also excited about Jeremy. I always love to see Val's husband on here. I mean, well, on my TV screen. So it's his
Who?
wife's name.
Okay, thank you.
They were both on Survivor together.
Oh.
He won Survivor that season. She went home, but they got
Did they
like
meet on Survivor?
no, they've been married.
They went to
Oh,
Survivor
they're also
together.
they're from Massachusetts. They're from Foxborough. He's a firefighter in Massachusetts.
No,
I think
okay.
he's Boston PD. I think they're in Boston, but
Oh,
I mean not PD, Boston Fire Department,
that's fine. That's fine.
and
Yes.
they got like 75,000 kids. Like
Oh, I love that for them. I did like Jeremy or did like.
yeah, I was really excited about Jeremy. I don't think he got a lot of stuff in the show, but I
Mm,
really wanted to see him. And then
mm,
other than that, like I don't know a ton of the Bravo people because I just really don't watch the Bravo shows. But like
I don't know.
obviously, like I know some of the names, like the Dorindas and the Robins of it all. But um,
I feel like I only know Robin's name possibly because of the read.
yes, and the drama. Like her husband always got some drama next to his name. So if you don't know her name, you know his name.
Okay, fair enough.
Same thing.
Oh,
I know Robin because of like the news stories. But not for any other reason.
I would say a little asterisk next to Britney Spears' ex-husband because I did know who that was.
Oh no, I had no idea who that was.
Yeah, I didn't know who that was
And
because it was the whole
honestly,
thing.
I don't know why they didn't kill him. He is just a snore fest. Like
He's just there.
get him out of here.
He's literally just there with his really sharp cheekbones, and that's it.
like literally, like him
Much like their
being here
marriage.
past Jeremy and Ion is so sick. Bob the drag queen, you're a sick motherfucker for that. Like you should have been got him out of here. But yeah,
He's literally just there.
so we already talked about the faithful, the cast getting an opportunity to bring Boston Rob into the game, which
Hmm.
they refused. But we do see them all kind of meeting each other and talking.
Hmm.
Do you know who Tom Sandoval is, right? Even if you don't watch Vanderpump,
Mm,
he was in the news all summer long this past summer. He's the one that
no.
cheated on that girl that had the whole. He's a despicable man.
He
But
looks frightening.
but Oh yes, he is working my nerves. Every time they show
Yeah.
a clip of him just like staring intently at people, I'm so disturbed.
After that first round table when he was like, I was like,
I
please.
think that's like his only thing, and he's so wrong about everything, and he's like convinced himself that he's like
Can
this.
I go on the record and say that is my favorite part of this entire concept of a show? Every time somebody confidently opens their mouth and says something wrong, I love it so much.
He's so wrong.
It's so great.
Like everything that comes out of his mouth is just like incorrect. Like,
Incorrect.
and
Like
he's
to the point where he's basically accidentally a traitor because he keeps leading people in the wrong
but he's like
direction.
resolved. He's so confident in everything he
Yeah.
says. I'm like,
Yes. Loud and
you
wrong.
know, the funniest part to me is when, and we're gonna talk about it when Alan is interviewing everyone, which he does on every
Hmm.
season to see like, would you rather be a traitor or a
Yeah.
faithful? He's one of the, I think he's one of the few people that's like faithful, faithful, faithful,
Yeah.
and Alan was like, so will you feel betrayed if I make it? He's like, yes, and Alan hits him with the doesn't feel good now, does it? Um, shots
Did
fired at
not
his
even
personal
notice
life.
that. I did not even notice that because I don't. I'll Google him offline. Or that's wrong. I'll Google him off pod because I have no idea.
But I think his who was it that was the lady from Selling Sunset? What's her name?
Chriselle.
Yes, who's friends with Ariana, who's the woman that he dogged out.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, because
so
she brings that
he's
up.
immediately like she's a traitor, and it's like girl, be
Hmm.
for real. But let's talk through episode one now. We see
Yes.
everybody meeting,
Hmm.
and we learn that there's a Mountbatten in the house. Shout out to him.
A gay Mountbatten. I was like, damn. Okay.
Yes, yes, a gay
I didn't know any of
Mountbatten.
you existed.
Um, who? I mean, there's not like everybody else here. I'm kind of just like meeting. I do want to say through the first like 3.5 episodes, I really love Gabby. I
Oh,
don't know
she's
if you
so
know. I don't know if you know
cute.
which. Okay, so you do know who Gabby is.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
She's Bachelor franchise.
yes, Bachelorette. No,
Both.
okay. Yes, okay. I love her. I think
She's so cute.
I think her outfits have been some of the best so
Oh
far.
my gosh. Yeah, she's eating. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, then we get so after Alan interviews everybody, Tony wants to be a traitor, which if you know Tony Vlachos, not surprising at all. I actually think he would have been a great traitor because I think he'd have been less
Mm.
detectable as a traitor. But
Yes, I think
who
so.
else wanted to be a traitor? I can't recall.
I want to say one of the housewives was like, please, it would be fun.
Oh,
Dolores?
I think it may have been Dorinda
Yeah, yes.
or either one of them.
One
But
one of the housewives that isn't Robin and isn't Ion was like well, that literally only leaves two of them. One of the D housewives was like, I want to be a traitor because being evil would be fun. I'm pretty sure it's Dolores.
so we see Alan tap Carolyn
Hmm.
and then Bob the drag queen, or did he tap Danielle first?
I don't remember
And
the order.
Danielle.
Yeah.
And Carolyn is of course shook. She's just immediately like licking her lips. She grabs the water as soon as the blindfolds come off. Bob the drag queen is like, of course, like why else would I be here?
Yes.
And um we see
Tom
Dan.
Sandoval, X-ray visioning everyone.
Well, no, I was gonna say Danielle's reaction. Um, I'm trying to. What's Danielle's last name? I know Williams. Is it Williams?
Mm, Reyes.
Oh, girl, I knew that. Um, and
I didn't know, so I just looked it up.
Danielle Reyes, like absolutely ecstatic to be a traitor.
Yeah.
I don't watch Big Brother. It's just one of those like one of the few shows that I have not been able to get into.
Hmm.
Like other people have tried to get me to watch it for years, but I know Danielle Reyes. Like her reputation really does precede her in the reality television world.
Interesting. Is Big Brother a competition show technically?
Mhm.
Yes, okay.
She is one of the most vicious players in Big Brother history and somebody that many regard as the best to never win. She is
Yes, I
so
see they
ruthless
do.
that they refer to her as the Black Widow. So
Oh, okay, Queen.
I was excited to see her here because I was like, I just know, but I just know I'm gonna get some great Traitors gameplay.
Oh.
And it has
She
been
says
great.
as she looks into the camera.
It has been great. But after we get into the round table, like you said, we see Mr. Sandoval checking everybody out, and he has a hunch. And his hunch is the one woman that has a tie to him in real life and could possibly dislike him. Girl, be for real.
He is so loud and so wrong. And honestly, okay.
Also, I want to take this moment to say shout out to Sierra. You looked good in the first episode, girl, and you looked great in episode 4. But
Oh, she did. She looked
shout
very
out to
cute.
Sierra. And you looked real cute on the boat, calling the shots with that man as well too. I can't miss
Oh
that.
my gosh, yes, the boat, the Viking
Um,
boat.
do we want to get into that right now? We do see people kind of talk about a little bit more, but we get into our first little challenge.
Yes, we
Um,
do.
on the Traitors this season, where they essentially there's gonna be a murder tonight, and they must they must fight for
Your
Shield.
your Alan Cummings impression is both a lot to be desired, but also weirdly very accurate.
I'm not doing an impression of him. I'm just doing trying to do a Scottish accent, but
Oh, okay.
I'm
Let's
very
give it
bad.
Alan.
But I love the way he says ours. I have to think of like certain words,
Yes,
but like I love it. Um
the H before the R. Hmm.
what was I gonna say? So they have to get on this boat. There are 5 platforms, 5
Hmm.
rafts, each of them alternating, each of them holding either
Fuel.
fuel or money. Girl, thank
Yes.
you. I am
Yes.
struggling.
It's fine. The fuel, the only reason I remember is because the fuel confused me until the fire situation.
Yes.
Because they're rowing the boat. So I was like, why the fuck do you need fuel?
They have to get either fuel or $20,000. The
4
raft,
platforms to fuel to money.
it was 5 platforms. We didn't get to the 5th one.
Ah, then what the hell was? Okay, fine.
So they it was fuel money, so it's probably fuel on the last one.
Mhm.
But they would have to leave in order to get the item on the platform, either the chest full of money or the fuel. They'd have to
Mhm.
leave 2 people on, and that was done through either voting or volunteering.
Yeah.
What happened here, Maddie?
Well, Lord knows I don't remember the order of which people get off the boat, but people end up
Dur- Dur-
basically
Dorinda and Dolores are the first to get off,
okay.
and then Robin and Ayan are the second people to
Yeah.
get off.
All the
Um,
housewives.
yeah, all housewives. So in the first 4, they're housewives, and then Bob, the drag queen, finally stands up and is like, "Why is it all the women? How could you do this? They're gonna get killed, fellas. This is terrible." So then he volunteers, and then Danielle Reyes decides to
Yes.
get off with him, and she is distraught, honey. She's
Yes.
like, "I'm gonna die. I can't believe it." Like, whatever.
Acting. Acting.
Acting.
Acting.
Um, the check was you know what, the rent was due,
The
and
rent was due.
the rent was due,
She
and
did get it.
so Bob and Danielle get off on the 3rd one, and then at the
Mhm.
4th platform, Bob Harper finally kicks in the gear and he says, "I can't do this. I'm a I'm an ally to the women. I'm a
Bob,
feminist
honestly,
too.
we love.
The
We
future is
love.
female." So um
Enough. Yes.
how could these fellas do such a thing? So
What a
Sam,
haunting statement. Yeah.
Brittany's ex-husband, gets off, and Barb
Mhm.
Harper follows behind him. And
Yes.
then they have one more platform, and the boys get a great idea, and they would go, wait, 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 wait. Is anybody actually going to get off at this 5th platform?
And everyone left is like, no.
And they were like, all right then, let's turn this
Let's
thing
go
around.
back to let's turn it back around and go back to shore because it was whoever was in the circle, whoever's on the shield in the circle when the fire is lit, which whatever, it gets a shield for that night and
Which
can't be
basically is just
murdered.
everybody who's on the boat, like, is gonna are the
Yeah.
only people having the opportunity to.
Yeah.
And then anybody that got off the platform doesn't have a shield, and thus they are exposed for
Mm-hmm.
murder.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Um,
Also, side note, they leave them on the platform for a bit.
This is what I was going to talk about. I did not expect this. We've
No,
never.
I did not either. Everyone gets back, changes clothes, is halfway, three quarters through eating
That
dinner.
was the crazy part. I was like, okay, they're gonna leave them on there for like a little bit, and then they're gonna get off and get in the cars too. No, those people got in their cars, drove off, got to the crib, had a nice warm meal, changed, had a shower, redid their makeup, and then here comes our like, what was it, four housewives,
Four
and
housewives and Bob, a big brother, a
four
big.
housewives, two Bobs, a Danielle, and a Sam.
And there's no food left for them.
Nope.
That was what was crazy to me. I was like, y'all, not even production blah 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 and the amount of food. I was like, y'all ate all the food and didn't
No,
think they
you
were
didn't
hungry?
you didn't see them like in the things they were talking about like the chicken skewers, and someone
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, I think I'm gonna get seconds now," and they were all like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, let's do it."
I would be so angry if I got home from being left
Baby,
at
they
a on
they
a
wrecked those chicken skewers, those like kebabs. Like
yes.
everybody's plate that they showed had like six kebabs on it.
Everybody else came back looking like a bilge rat with no food after being left on that late. I was like, this is diabolical behavior from you guys. I would be so angry. I would be so mad. I'm so hungry. I sacrificed myself for y'all and you couldn't leave me a chicken skewer.
But we see the housewives get back and they are pissed, honey. And then everybody is suspicious. They were like, well, one of the housewives got to be a traitor. They were too happy to jump off. And I think the only reason this is happening is because Phaedra last year. But like they were like, "Oh my god." And they immediately start sussing Dorinda.
Oh,
Dorinda.
yes, yes.
And especially Lord Mountbatten. What the Lord Ivar is
The fact
incredible.
that there's a Mountbatten named Ivar, the historical part of my brain is like, why would you name that Mountbatten child Ivar?
You
That's
know,
not a very British
those
name.
are their cousins.
I know, but I'm just like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just
Those
it.
are their cousins. That's probably his great great grandfather's name on his mama's side. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you for clearing up the
Aren't they
family
all?
tree
They
for
all
me.
they're all cousins. All the
They
royals
are,
are
yes,
related, right?
yes, they are,
Yeah,
yes.
that makes so much sense to me. Like I'm not
Dickie
confused at
Mountbatten.
all.
He's on Philip's side. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. No, what was I gonna say? So yeah, Lord Ivar is traitor hunter extraordinaire because his political career has prepared him quite well for this apparently.
Yeah.
Um,
Being rich and doing
and
nothing,
he's like,
absolutely.
I just know it. It's Dorinda. Look at how she's
Yes.
crying. She's all mad we left her that little bit of cold rice. How dare she? It's because she's a traitor. There are only two chicken skewers left. So what? Yes, I ate all the tamales. Why is she upset about it? And the enchiladas are gone too.
Cold rice again. I'd be so mad. Oh my gosh. And that they
But the
gussed
fact that
up about
they
that.
do get food though, they get like the scraps, and so they fill their plates first, and then they immediately get to stomping around the mansion.
And Bob does be stomping around. Bob the drag queen does be stomping around. Like, Lord, I love you. You have heavy footsteps.
um,
We see this is when we see Danielle doing some good acting.
yes. So while everybody is suspicious that Dorinda has to be a traitor, or at least one of the housewives, because
Hmm.
why did they all volunteer so quickly? Robin says it's because they are good people and they are kind and giving, and their hearts are just so big. And I say it's just
Basically,
because y'all don't want to row, but it's
and hey,
because girl, you didn't want to row a boat, and now look at you.
yes, yes.
But yes, while they are focused on the housewives, Danielle is distraught. She can't
Hmm.
even she doesn't even want to sit with nobody. She got to go to the other room and sit by
She gotta go
herself.
to the other side, yes, and eat her half a chicken skewer and cold rice by herself.
She's pissed. She's crying. She just knows she's
Hmm.
gonna get voted. She's like, everybody knows
Hmm.
I was on Big Brother. Y'all hate the gamers. Y'all are gonna get us out first. I can't believe it. And Tom
Hmm.
Sandoval, traitor hunter number one himself, comes up to her in his beautiful kilt, by the way, puts an arm
Oh,
around her.
gorgeous look,
You're
gorgeous look.
okay. Don't be sad. We know you're not a traitor. You're faithful as they come.
And when she looks into the camera when he leaves, I got my life. I
Gagged.
was like, work, let's
Gagged.
go.
She just that
Oh,
she pulled that move a few times. She was like she put the fucking food in her mouth. She's like, yeah,
I was like, this is
clock
fantastic work.
it.
Fantastic work from her. Absolutely. And fantastic work from Bob, too, in this moment in time. Just
Yes,
being
at
like,
this point,
it just got me
they
mad.
they are doing their thing. Then
Mm-hmm.
everybody goes to bed. The,
Mm-hmm.
Alan calls on his traitors.
Mm-hmm.
They take their oath to murder
Please
and
keep saying that like
lie
that.
and deceive. And they're
Mm-hmm.
also happy to do so. Then he gives them their cloaks and sends them off to the turret. And
Mm-hmm.
what do we have first? What happens in that turret?
I don't remember which one of the two walks in first, but Bob and Danielle get there first.
Mhm.
They de-hood before the third person gets there,
Mhm.
and they see each other and have a key.
Period.
No,
Performance of a
this is
lifetime!
crazy.
Crazy! Mwah, it was Chef's Kiss.
and
Absolutely
then
fantastic.
Yep, and an
Yeah.
alliance is born.
Yes. And then
Then
Carolyn
Carolyn
shows
comes
up.
in, and none of them expected each other. So this is great for the traders because
Hmm.
all three of them have been playing traitor all day long, and
Hmm.
none of them have given anything away. And they
Hmm.
all three
Hmm.
also know that nobody else is onto any of the other two. So this is like
Absolutely.
boost of confidence for the traders. I'm playing well. Y'all are playing well. None of our names are out there.
Hmm. Hmm.
We are set up.
Yes.
So we flash to Alan in the woods with his little torch, walking on up on um, a prisoner, a cloaked prisoner, who we
Yes.
know is Boston Rob, and
Yeah.
Alan tells Boston Rob that he's going to be a traitor,
The hat
and
under the hood was diabolical.
locks him up into a cage and raises him into the air. And there are two other people there, and we don't have any idea who any
Yeah.
of those people are. And that's the
I
end
will
of
say
episode
for a
one.
split second, I was like, are y'all gonna be there all night? But then I was like, be for real, Madeline. They're not gonna leave them there all night. It's okay. They're gonna come back down. It's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they're there, and that's where we end.
Hmm.
So
Yes.
episode
Yes.
2,
Hmm.
what's going on here?
Well, we get, and at the end of, do we get to find out who the other two cage people are at the beginning of, at the end of one? No, right?
No.
Okay. So I think at the beginning of two, we get to find out who the other two, I was gonna say caged birds who sing. I'm so sorry. Um, who the other two cage people are because we are assuming in the Boston Rob kind of way that they're going to be added to the game or something that is like that. And we find out that it's Derek, who's from Survivor, I believe.
Big Brother,
Big Brother, yes, because he knows Danielle.
legendary Big Brother
Um,
player.
yes. And then oh, don't tell me. Wes.
Mhm.
Wes
Mhm.
from the challenge, which I was really excited about because I was like, I know what that is. And then they both talk to Alan and Alan labels both of them as faithfuls. He doesn't give them a choice.
No, I mean I don't think Boston Rob had a choice either. They're
Oh, true. He did not.
Yeah,
That's
like
fair.
he
Yeah.
just turned him into a traitor.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And there's no murder oh no, there is a murder the night before. So we find out who's murdered. It is Dorinda, one of the housewives. And the logic around it was kind of like let's frame Ivar a little bit. Whether or not it actually worked is a little bit, I think,
yes. What did
dubious.
you think about this kill? So like in this how do you say, in this episode
Hmm.
we had, I want to see who was up for,
Um,
there were only 8, right? So we had the four housewives: Dorinda, Dolores,
mm-hmm.
Ion, Robin, and then
Yep.
Danielle and Bob the drag queen weren't up for, unknown to the house, but they weren't actually up for murder. So you had
Yes.
Bob, Harper, and Sam.
Yeah.
So these are our 6.
I mean, out of those options, I can see the path of killing Dorinda to frame Ivar.
Well, I think their reasoning specifically was to kill Dorinda to frame a housewife, to
Oh,
make
true.
to
That's
make the
true.
house believe that one of the housewives may be a traitor. There's a traitor amongst the housewives, and then
Hmm.
they would
Hmm.
look at the housewives um more with more scrutiny and
Yeah.
possibly banish them more quickly.
Yeah.
So at least saving the traitors, our current traitors, a few votes where they may not end up going.
Yeah.
Um, so that's one of the reasons there is like, because I don't think anybody really. Well, I think Bob witnessed the conversation where Ivar was really pushing it on Dorinda, but
Yeah.
nobody else did. This is where I think we see something that I was already clocking was probably going to be the undoing. Well, they haven't murdered. Do they murder at the top of the episode?
No, they murder at the bottom of one, and we find out at the beginning of two.
No, 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 no. I mean, do we see them in the turret? We see them in the turret at the top of the episode, right? But they murder without Boston Rob. So we see the discussion at the top
Yes,
of
we don't
episode
know
two.
Boston Rob is there yet. No, or they don't know Boston Rob is a traitor yet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they're in the turret. This is when I peeped something. Danielle and Bob do not have a lot of respect for Carolyn, and
Yes.
this is gonna be an issue. Like if they like literally won, and I don't know if it was this conversation or the next one.
Hmm.
I think it was even like this one. I forget who she suggested. I thought she had the better play. Like I literally remember
Yes.
like listening to the strategy and listening to the reasonings, and I was like, Carolyn is kind of making sense here, and y'all are not trying to hear it.
Yeah,
And
I feel like that. I think every single turret. I think
yes,
I feel that
like,
way.
and
Yeah.
I think she's just not going to push her opinion.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't remember like who she suggested, but I think like at this point she makes a thing and she gives a name and Danielle was like, "Well, give me the strategy," and Carolyn is obviously like a little like, "Ooh, ooh, ooh, you're doing a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
much right now." Like,
I mean, these people are essentially still strangers too at this point.
yeah.
Hmm.
And Danielle's like, "I don't trust her as a trader. I don't think she's a good trader." And I was like, "Oh, I don't trust
I
you
think
as a
she might be the
trader."
best.
I
Well,
think
at
she
this
might
point in
be.
time, she's the best out of the three of you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I also think like they really are underestimating Carolyn because they really just don't know her. Like I don't think they have a lot of like
Yes.
knowledge about Survivor, and even just Carolyn like outside of her season of Survivor, just she's she has a really good strategic mind for these types of games. She's been in these like Survivor like online circles
Mhm.
and these virtual games or whatever. She's really good.
I
And
think they've kind of fall prey to the thing that is making Carolyn a little bit invisible to the
they're
rest of the
underestimating her as
house.
well.
Yeah.
They're
Hmm.
underestimating her as well. They're like, oh, she's here for some reason, but it's not because she's like a strategic mastermind. It's because maybe people won't suspect her.
Yeah.
But I think she probably knows the game better than both of them. Like,
I mean,
uh,
she says something along the lines of that herself in one of her confessionals that like she was so excited about this. Like she jokes that she slept in a cape, right? Like it's to me, it's clear that maybe she's coming from a different perspective on this. Well,
yeah,
and then Bob is well, no, because RuPaul is a competition show, but it's not. It's a performance-based competition show.
yeah.
It's not
This
a
I
gameplay.
want to talk about this a little later in I think in episode 4 when Wes is talking about performance and Nikki. I actually had a thought about like why like certain people are not like particularly good traders. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but they killed Dorinda in any case. Poor
Yep.
Dodo. I wanted to see her. We are losing all of the most interesting people, and I can't take it. Why is Sam still here? Why
And I was about to
is?
say, get him out of here. Absolutely.
Oh my
And Ivar,
god!
please.
Please. At least
Yes.
the other British politician last year was like funny with the commentary. Girl, I don't know his name.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't remember. But yeah, so our girl Dorinda gets killed. This is a
Hmm.
very sad day. The queen of the manor, a queen no more.
The way Alan throws her picture on the floor, it was so dramatic for me. And then Dolores is like, "That's my friend." I was like, "Oh, honey, it's okay."
Poor Dolores. Dolores was
Yeah.
sick for the first
Yes.
two murders.
Yeah.
Um, Um. Okay, so we see everybody come in. Danielle
Mm.
comes in, and she's just so happy to be here. Oh, I'm safe, guys. I was so scared last night.
This is when the acting starts to turn for me.
I actually thought she did great. It really wasn't until the third morning when she's like sitting down, she's like talking and asking for stuff and like saying it. I'm like, girl, you have to calm down. Like
No, this is
you must
exactly where the acting
relax.
starts. I don't know what it was, but like I just, well, fully acknowledging that obviously we know she's a traitor. Something about that more, I was like, I think we're already starting to tip the scales into doing too much. And
Uh,
yeah, I
I
was like,
just want to say at breakfast, shout out to Wells. I thought he looked good. Bob
hmm.
Harper has killed it
Oh, I
every single
love it.
episode.
Bobby Bob,
He looks
yes.
so good. And Sierra, love the headband. Sierra's also
Fantastic.
serving looks every episode.
Absolutely.
And Danielle, like Danielle is one of the best dressed in this house. Who would have thunk it? Between
Absolutely.
all of these
And more
people.
so on theme than a lot of other people.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
Um, what outfit did Bob the drag queen wear this time?
Is this
Oh.
the Kente cloth outfit?
Yes, yes, with the blue jacket.
Yes, I think so.
But he wore jeans with it and a red hat.
Oh.
He just
Oh, the thick red hat. Absolutely,
mhm.
yes. Hmm.
Yes. Um Sam is swooping a curl at the front of his head and I'm just
He's
curious as
just
to why. I'm
there.
just curious as to why. Um
He's
I
just
think Carolyn
there.
has been looking good too. I didn't like her first little number, but I think she's been looking
Hmm.
good.
I love
Um
everyone's outfits. Well, almost everyone's
So
outfits.
we have breakfast. Alan comes in. He gives this little speech. He throws Dorinda's picture on the ground.
So funny.
The girls are sick about it. We
Hmm.
go off when we talk. I don't recall a lot of these conversations because I
Mm.
did watch the episode quite a bit ago.
Mm. Neither do I.
But when they get to their challenge for the day, we are once again in the woods. They see three
Alan's
platforms
Woods,
and
yes.
three cages hanging above the platforms. What's
Those
going
cages
on,
looked a
Maddie?
little bit rickety. They made me a little bit nervous. I'm not even gonna lie. But in the cages are the three men we've already discussed, Wes, Boston Rob, and Derek. Um, are they wearing any? No, the cages are covered, I think. And then they get revealed.
Mhm.
And then the purpose of the challenge is to go in the woods. There's all these like bags strewn up and tied up and all of these things, and they have coins in them. The coins are worth a certain amount. I will not lie, I don't remember how much. And then you have to, in order to lower somebody's cage and get the shield that they have been given to give to somebody else, because they won't be up for elimination or not elimination, murder, or banishment that night. And
Murder.
so they all have a shield to give to someone. So it's kind of like a who's gonna like build an alliance kind of first thing by lowering the cage. And so people run around getting coins. Boston Rob gets a lot at first, and then eventually all three cages are lowered.
Yes.
Anyway.
People are trying to make so there's a time limit and they have to fill their coins up to 5K, 10K, whatever.
Something.
Um
Hmm.
and people are really sorry for not letting Boston Rob come back in the game, so everybody's trying to make their apologies.
Hmm.
So he gets
Hmm.
everyone's first coins until he is completely lowered.
Hmm.
And then they go for Derek.
Derek. Yeah, definitely.
And huh?
No, I said definitely because I was interested to see like if people were gonna go for Wes because I felt like Wes was like an unknown quantity to them, and so I
Mhm.
was like, people know Derek, people obviously know Boston Rob, but there's no other challenger, so I
Yeah.
felt like people didn't really know Wes except for
The
I
the
almost said
reality
it,
the
Dil.
reality the
Well,
reality
I was
tells
gonna say
well
Dylan
Dylan oh
Efron.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Dylan seems to be like a real fan of a lot of these
Hmm.
shows as well too. So he knows everybody. And that's
Yes, he does.
he knows everyone, but the other like reality competition show people tend to kind of know each other and their
He's giving
reputations.
you. Oh, I would love to see you on the Traitors.
Oh my god, if I'm not a traitor, I don't want to be there. Like if I'm because
Yeah, you'd be a waste as a faithful.
I don't think I would ever spot a traitor. Like, I would be Sandoval levels of wrong. Like
Not Mr. X-Ray.
I would
Please
just be
never Mr.
like,
X-Ray.
I would just be like, like every conversation I have, I'd be like, oh my god, they're trying to like throw me off their scent. They're a traitor. Like,
I disagree. I feel like you'd be giving Dylan. I feel like you
you
would
know
catch
who I
on.
really be? I would probably be like Gabby or like Bob Harper. Someone who would make like who would
Hmm.
probably be perceived as the faithful, but like
Yeah.
would like make a correct read, but then just like not trust it and just be like, oh, maybe I was wrong, or like some other
Yeah.
circumstances like da 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 da.
I would want to be middle of the pack. I would want to be a Bob Harper or a Gabby. I would just want to be there and have a rip roaring good time. I don't want the pressure of being a traitor. I just want to have a rip
Oh, I
roaring
would
good time.
love to be a traitor. Like not like I would just love to be a traitor. I
Yeah.
would play like Suri. Like I just make friends and shut the hell up. Like I we'll talk about it more when we talk about some of like the murders and banishments, like
Hmm.
in the strategy around like the traitors and how they're playing. But like yeah, let's talk about this challenge. Yeah, they look out for Bob. I you know what I really liked when Wes
Hmm.
called himself a cousin of Fergus.
And I mean, they do look very similar. They do look like they could be Highland
Uh,
brothers.
that was
Yeah.
so funny to me. I was like,
I
why?
loved
I was
it.
like, why would he say that?
Do we like
Um,
Wes?
do I like Wes? I love Wes.
Yes. Okay.
Wes is a very, very entertaining villain of the challenge.
Okay. That's what he was giving to me.
But
But
I've
I didn't
always
want to look
loved
him up.
Wes. I, I actually like his Real World season is one of my favorite seasons of the Real World as well. So,
Hmm.
um, so after this,
Hmm.
everybody like you said, everybody's jar gets filled. They all get their money. We get
Hmm.
up to the $15,000. So it was 5,000 per person.
Hmm.
The $15,000 added to their bank account. So at this point, they've deposited 35K.
Yep.
And Wes, Derek, and Boston Rob have each earned a shield that they must gift to
Yeah.
one of the faithfuls tonight.
Hmm.
And while they cannot be banished or murdered, they also do not get a vote at the banishment.
Yes. At our first real round table.
Yes. So we
Hmm.
go in. We see everybody talking. Boston Rob is observing. He's a traitor. He's trying to figure out who's a traitor. He talks to Danielle. Oh, okay. No
Can
red
I ask
flag.
you a question? Why is it not obvious that Boston Rob is a traitor?
I don't know. I feel like people might know.
I feel
I
like
think,
he's so obvious to me.
but I think you know why I think like I think that like if you're there and you know the shows, you would have to assume at least one of the Survivor players are a traitor, and you'd have to
Hmm.
assume, or I would assume that at least one of the Big Brother people are a traitor. And I
Hmm.
would say of all those Survivor people, I'd probably pick Boston Rob or Tony.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what would really have tipped it over the top for me, and probably should have tipped it off for Dylan, although I think Wes is starting to catch on now, is that once Tony
Oh,
goes
yes.
home and he's a faithful, Rob is the next person you look at. Period.
Absolutely. I would
Um,
honestly just, not knowing anything about Boston Rob, my thought process would be, why the hell are you here knowing like if you are not a traitor? Like what was the point of doing this whole shebang if you're just a faithful? To me, I would be like, that man's a traitor.
yeah.
I won't talk
So,
about it.
do you remember who gave their shields to everyone?
We get Boston Rob giving it to Tony.
Yes,
Oh
Boston
no.
Rob gives his to Tony.
Yeah.
Danielle asks Derek for his. I thought if I
Yes.
was Derek, I would have found that like a little suspicious.
Interesting.
A little
Okay.
suspicious.
Derek. Ooh, Derek doesn't give it to Danielle. He gives it to Jeremy?
Mm-mm.
No. Who does he give it to?
Did he not give his to Dylan?
He gives it to Dylan?
I'm pretty sure he gave his to Dylan. Yes, okay, I do remember now. Okay. So, yes, Rob gives his to Tony
Hmm.
because he's like, I'm it's the only people I know, might as well.
Hmm.
Wes gives his to Jeremy because Wes is like, the
Mm.
Survivor players are the only people that vote, which is why we should talk about this after the banishment, because he's like,
Hmm.
the Survivor players are the only people who voted in unison at the banishment, and they're in
Yeah.
large numbers, and they know how to play these types of games. So I
Yes.
want to kind of build some loyalties with them.
Hmm.
But we'll just go back a little bit. So at the round table, we get to the
Yes.
round table. Do you remember a lot of what happened at this round table?
Not a whole lot except for the Robin West situation, situation, um,
Okay.
where they kind of point the finger at each other because of what I thought was an inane conversation about the theoretical strategy of killing Dorinda, and Wells is on the train of like it should be one of the housewives, and he interprets Robin being like that was a stupid plan to her trying to throw Scent off, and Robin interprets Wells' questions as him trying to throw Scent off.
Mhm.
And so we kind of somehow like weirdly focus in on Wells, and then he gets
I thought it
got.
was Tom that threw a name out because Tom threw it on Chriselle and like I don't know, but
Who
in any
start?
case,
Bob, I think Bob starts the whole
in any case,
shebang.
yes, I think Bob is too vocal at this table.
And this is where
I
Bob starts stressing me out.
because I think as a trader, like you don't want to be silent. Like we saw somebody try to play that game last season and it didn't work. People just got very suspicious very fast, and
Hmm.
once they got on, like they were just like, we're not letting this one go. You don't want to be quiet. You don't want to be silent at these things. Like you, if somebody asks you for a name, you kind of want to give a name and then like back off. Like you kind of want to be clueless. You want to give a name and be clueless. Hey,
You want to be
I
giving
think you're a
Gabby.
traitor because I saw this. And if the person gives a good explanation, you're like, then I don't know because you're faithful at
Yeah.
the end of the day. You don't have any information. Everything you say is just a guess,
Yes.
right? And I think Bob came in like really hot, super confident. I know you're a traitor. I'm hunting. I'm getting, and
Because he
like
tried to control the narrative too much.
yes, and I think this
Hmm.
is where it kind of started looking crazy. But
Yes, exactly.
he in this point, and I thought Dylan had a very good take later on, but
Mhm.
he Bob the drag queen talks a lot about Wells and then votes for Ivar.
Yes.
This I thought was
Yes.
like a real mistake. I thought this was crazy because I was like, when did they get on Ivar, and why did they get on Ivar? And I know like somebody has said something,
The
but it just like
argument.
wasn't compelling. And for you to like be so vocal about it being Wells and to just not vote for Wells.
It didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. This is where Danielle and Bob to me have officially lost the thread.
Mhm.
And
And
we even
Danielle
see
votes for
Carolyn being like,
Robin, which
yeah.
I don't think Danielle is a bad vote. I think Danielle's like problem to me mostly was just like a lot of it was like indeterred at this point is
Mhm.
just like her like refusal to like
Take Carolyn seriously.
consider different perspectives. Like she was just always like so gung ho about
Yeah.
like this thing. Even like her and Bob
Is
like
Big
were
Brother
arguing
team play at any point, or is it all
sometimes,
individual?
sometimes
Okay.
both.
So I was wondering if she's just not good at teamwork.
Um, yeah. So in any case, Wells gets voted out, and I will say it was like a crazy spread for the voting. Like
Yeah.
there were so many people that just got a hinky vote, like just got one vote. Like I think
Hmm.
at one point it was like 3 to 4 or whatever, and Wells went home with 5 votes out of like 20 people
Yeah.
casting a vote.
The wiki says it was 5 4 4 2 1 1 1
Yeah.
1. So Wells only goes home by one vote.
Yeah, like 23 votes casted, 22 votes casted,
Hmm.
and only five, like five was the majority or the plurality that
Yeah.
sent him home. Um,
Poor Wells.
no, I mean poor Wells, but like, what are y'all doing? Like,
Yeah. I mean, that's what
this is when I was like, when I was
Rob
watching
says.
this is when I was watching the show. I was like, hey, y'all need to be talking about who y'all are gonna vote for and for what reason. And like honestly, if you're a faithful at a certain point, if you don't have
Hmm.
a clue about the traders, you're trying to get the best guess. You still need to
Hmm.
be like making sure you have numbers
Hmm.
to make sure because to make sure you don't accidentally get voted home. Because if you're somebody like Jeremy who caught a
Yeah.
few votes or Robin who caught a few votes,
Hmm.
and you could have went home just because one or two people had a change of heart or whatever. Like
Yes.
you need to go get like 8 people to vote with you. Like, what is going on here?
Well, we see the Cage
Um,
Boys. I don't know if all three of them, but at some point in time, Boston Rob brings this up that it's just
they have no idea what they're.
chaos.
Yeah, they have no idea
Yeah,
what they're
they have
doing.
no, yeah. And
Um,
you got to whip the vote, which we see in episode 4.
so after this, we go to our shields. We want to talk about the shields. We get our shields passed around from.
Yes, and it's all very covert,
Oh,
if
we
you
didn't
will.
say Wells. Is
Oh,
he a faithful or a traitor?
oh, Wells was a faithful.
Wells was
Rest in
a
peace, Wells.
faithful,
No,
and
he's
he
banished.
was Ion's best friend, and she was so excited that they
He
weren't
was like
murdered the night before.
literally. Oh my gosh! But he gets him and his beautiful
She
coat
was
get
crying,
banished.
child.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then we no, there's only one challenge in episode, and so then we see who gets the shield. Like we get confirmation, I think, who gets the shield, or they confirm, even though it's all
Mhm.
very like covert, secret. And then I think we go to bed, don't we? Well, it's our three people who already know each other, and
Mhm.
then we get a sinister knock on the door, if you will. Yes. And they're like, what the fuck is this? And then who comes in but
They're
another traitor, hood up, of course, so they don't know. And then he pulls his hood back and dun dun dun, it's Boston Rob with that fuck ass hat on. Sorry. With that hat on. And then they have to incorporate Boston Rob into their dynamic and to figure out who they're gonna kill that night. And Boston Rob in well, Carolyn's already there, but Boston Rob kind of very quickly picks up on this like Bob Danielle dynamic and is like, oh my God, what is happening here?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is bad again, once again, bad play from Danielle and Bob the drag queen.
Hmm.
Just not and I think Boston Rob talks about, hey, like it's really important to like stay united. We got to stick together. We got to
Yeah.
stay united, guys. So he's like, okay. And they somehow their united vote is Ion. I don't remember
I don't
this
remember.
was Bob the drag queen's play. I do remember he was the one that threw this name out, and I thought it was a bad name when he threw it out, but this was his
Yes.
play. And his reason was like, oh, we already killed the housewives. We create more confusion. I was like, that's not how it works. There's something Bob keeps saying in these meetings. He keeps going, if you can come up with a plan,
Figure
somebody
it
can
out.
solve it. So we got to like figure out how they're going to solve it. And I was like, I think you're not remembering that if you can come up with something, people can just think that like,
Yes.
hey, you're
Yes.
trying to like throw us off or whatever the case.
Which is what we
Um
get from Dylan.
but unbeknownst to Bob, Ayan had a conversation with Robin and Dylan that
Mm,
she was almost certain that Bob the drag queen was one of the traitors.
work.
And Dylan was like, yes, like for sure.
Hmm.
I've been thinking that for a while now.
Hmm.
So this murder, unknowingly to him, kind of starts confirming to more and more people
Yes. Yes.
that he might really be a traitor because this is somebody that threw his name out that he would very much want murdered if she's
Hmm.
going
Hmm.
around spreading dirty rumors.
T down. Yes.
So they well we they decide to murder Ion, but we find out at breakfast. So bada bing, episode
Yes.
3.
Episode 3, we get to breakfast. A thing we haven't mentioned so far is that people come in like little batches from breakfast, and so like 3 to 4 people get to yapping, and then there's a knock on the door, and more people come in. And so we're just waiting and waiting and waiting to see who shows up, and everybody shows up, but Ion. Um, Oh my gosh, not Wes. Alan shows up again to throw her picture aggressively on the floor, and Dolores, of course, is like, "No, not again," and picks up the photo, which I think is funny every time it happens. Um, Anything about breakfast? I don't remember. I'm
I just
already deep into being annoyed with Danielle and Bob at this point.
no. This is where Danielle is talking. This is the first time where I'm like, Danielle, you gotta. You're doing too much. You don't need to like be breadcrumbing every time.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, she is talking, and Boston Rob is already annoyed. Boston Rob's like, "Girl, you gotta shut up. You gotta,
Yes.
you gotta,
Yes.
you gotta close
He's
your
like,
mouth.
"You are doing literally way too much."
Like, why would you say that? I think this person is
Mm-hmm.
driving it. No, no, no. You don't think
No,
anything.
none of
I
that
will. I
foolishness.
will say once again, Bob Harper dressed down. The overcoat, the 3 piece with the big sleeves
Yes.
rolled up with the. I don't know if it was Hilfiger because I saw the red, white, and blue, but it was
Yes.
gorgeous. In any case, glasses look good. Just killing
Gorgeous.
the looks. Sierra
Gorgeous. Absolutely.
also looking good. Jeremy is just looking like a firefighter on leave.
No, because him,
Uh,
Derek, and Boston Rob all just look like regular men. Just literally just regular men, just here in the Scottish Highlands, just to
Period.
be here.
That's it. That's
Yes.
all.
Hmm.
Him and Tony wore a suit day one, and ever since then they were just dressing like dads on vacation. Like that's it. I was
They
like,
were like, no, I'm not doing any more of
although I
this. And
think
I commend it.
when he goes in his confessional, he's wearing like that coat, and I was like, dang, it's a
Yeah.
little too late.
Yes.
Anyway, our sister Ayan is sent home. We find that out. She gets in the confessional. She cries. It's so sad.
Like Queen. Yes,
So
Queen Icon.
sad. Yeah, Carolyn is once
Yes.
again looking clueless. So after breakfast, after Alan comes through and does his thing, few
Hmm.
people go and talk. Carolyn is trying to like make some inroads with some people. She leaves the room.
Hmm.
They're talking shit about her behind her back.
Hmm. Hmm.
Immediately,
Hmm.
they're like, "Oh no."
Yes.
So we see Wes sits down with Tony a
Hmm.
little bit. The Jeremy and Rob sit down with Mr. Dylan. Dylan
Hmm.
throws out Bob the drag queen's name. He
Hmm.
talks about, hey, it could be Robin, could be Bob the drag queen. Ion knew that too. And Rob, Boston Rob is like, oh God, they got me with amateurs. He's absolutely sick. He's
Because that's
like,
actually his vibe. Is like they are not about this life.
he's like this one over here. Jeremy is on to Danielle. Dylan is on to Bob. Like
Hmm.
this is
Nobody's on to Carolyn.
this is horrible. This is
Yes,
horrible.
this is
What have I
horrible. He's
gotten into? They didn't hitch my wagon to these losers. And he's
he's
just
a
like he
loser.
literally doesn't say anything. He's just sitting there like
Yes.
just watching all the faithful just talk about his partners. Just everybody's exposed.
If anything, that would be another thing that would make me think Boston Rob was a traitor. So like, why are you so annoyed right now? Why are you so unhappy with these suggestions? Like, unless you're in some sort of alliance, we need to know about. Oh my gosh. It was honestly, it's so funny. It literally is so funny. I love this so much.
uh,
Um,
we
and then we go to
leave. Yes, we
challenge.
leave there and go to the
Yes.
challenge. You remember what we have here?
This is our haunted house.
Yeah,
Well,
this
I'm
is
calling it a
our
haunted
our
house.
fun house.
Yes, our fun house. So we get there, there's a fun house built. Alan explains that there's going to be pairs of people. They have to go through the fun house, um, and with a balloon. And if they go through the wrong door, their balloon gets popped. They don't get anything. Um, and that the people on the outside of the fun house can hear the people on the inside. And so technically speaking, it's supposed to be also like a full team situation or a full house
Yeah.
situation. Um, they do a terrible job of communicating with the people on the outside.
Well, so the people outside can't talk to them. They can only listen.
Yes.
Um, and then the people
Oop.
inside have to describe what they see because there are four doors at each corridor, and with four different designs on them, with
Mhm.
that are like barely distinguishable. They're not identical, but they do have a lot of the same
Did
colors,
I
same
miss the
shades.
part where they couldn't just say door one, two, and three and four?
I don't know if that was mentioned, but obviously it was a rule.
Okay, because I felt insane. I was like, why can't you just say door one, two, three, and
Because it
four?
was definitely a rule.
Yes.
So they have to describe the pattern on the door
Hmm.
that they're going through, and then once they go through it, the people on the outside would either hear a popped balloon or that they got through successfully into the next
Hmm.
place. So
And some screams, because those clowns
again,
came out to pop that balloon. They were aggressive.
the pair that's able to get all the way through would win a shield, so those two people would be
Hmm.
protected. So obviously, it's gonna be very difficult if you go first. So
Hmm.
once again, none of the men want to go first.
Yes, exactly.
And Bob Harper now pipes up, and he's like, "Oh no, this is terrible." Because once again, Bob Harper is a feminist. He
The
knows that the
future
future
is
is
female,
female.
as you said. Yes,
He is for
exactly.
the ladies. He says, "You guys, Tony," and I was like, sir.
He literally he does volunteer other men, which I thought was hilarious. I was like, work queen, let's go. He said, not I, but one of you has to go first.
He was
I thought it was so funny. Work queen. We love to see it,
he said,
honestly.
none of the men would volunteer. All you boys are so selfish. Tony, what are you doing?
Work, Bob. Work, Bob. I love it.
That was so funny to me. I was like, well, now how did Tony get in there?
And Tony was looking at him like, well, how did I get in this? Like, he just.
It was so funny to me because
So
he
funny. I love
didn't have to say any names. There are literally like 15 men there. Like
it. Something about Tony bothers him. He said, Tony. Very particularly Tony. I
uh,
want you to get jump scared by one of these freaking
so
clowns.
I think Tony was with Nikki Bella. So Tony and Nikki Bella go through first, and they obviously don't get through.
No.
They're
Very badly.
eliminated, and we see two more teams go. So at this point, three doors have been eliminated.
It's
You would
bothered me
think,
so much.
and Bob Harper goes, and really he should get through no problem because he's number four. Like we should, and he messes it up.
This rankled me so much. I was like,
And
why are we
everybody
struggling
was
so hard?
screaming, no! Like this is the one that everyone was sure like not to go through, and he was just like, yep, like.
And that clown jumps out with its letter opener and
uh,
stabs the hell out of that
that was
balloon.
so funny to me.
Oh my God, what a
They all do
mess.
really bad at this, which for understandable reasons, but also because they
Uh,
can't distinguish shapes and
Colors?
horizontal versus vertical, and
Everything
who
about this bothered me.
knows?
Everything about this
So
bothered me.
they fail miserably. They barely get any money. Oh well.
Yes, yeah. I don't
I
remember
just
who
thought the
makes it all the
beginning of
way
this mission.
through.
Nobody makes it all the way through. Somebody makes it to the last room. I
Ah,
think
yes.
Wes is, and his partner, I forgot who. I think maybe Wes and Gabby maybe are the last ones to go, and they make it all the way to the last room, and then they fail
Fergus is
to
sitting there looking
choose
crazy.
the correct door,
Hmm. Oh, Fergus, we
or
love
maybe
you.
Wes and Sierra. Um,
That was Sarah, yeah.
and then we're done.
Yes. Then
We're
we are done.
done on a pretty bad day for some money.
Hmm.
Now Jeremy is in a car chatting.
Yes.
He's
Hmm.
like, I just know it. Danielle. There's something about her. There is something about her. She is a murderer.
Maybe it's because she's hamming it up.
But he's in a car with Tony, Nikki
Hmm.
Bella, Gabby, and Bob the drag queen.
Ah, yes, 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 yes.
And Bob the drag queen is like, and I would have thought he was a traitor too, just from his reaction, because he was all in the conversation until Danielle's name came up, and he was like, oh, silent,
Yes,
mute, like he been
yes.
talking all, like he been talking nonstop
Not a plan in place for this kind of
the
situation. Lord have
entire
mercy.
time. But all of a sudden Danielle is sus. He's like, oh, nothing to say, not even, oh wow, like no reaction. Okay. And
Mm.
as soon as he gets in the house, he has to just go in and conference with Danielle privately in a public place. Oh.
Damn these niggas for letting me down like this. I was so excited. And I was like, I can't believe y'all are doing this to me like this.
They immediately run away to the bar that everybody goes to all the time and sit down and
Hmm.
start talking. And guess who comes to join them? Carolyn.
Yes.
Oh, what y'all talking about? Jeremy thinks Danielle is a traitor. Oh yeah, Jeremy did tell me that too. Carolyn, Carolyn was funny. Yeah, he did tell me that as well.
A mess.
And guess who else he's told? Boston Rob. All the
Hmm.
traitors.
Hmm.
Jeremy done trusted every traitor in the damn
Except for
thing.
Danielle. Hmm.
Except for Danielle. So of course it gets back to her, and she's like, he's gotta go. He
Yeah.
has got to go. He must be
Yeah.
killed. And you know, we're getting ready for banishment. We see a few more conversations. Jeremy is spreading the gospel. He's letting everybody know, hey, Danielle's a
Mhm.
killer. Don't tell nobody, but Danielle's a killer. Then Jeremy, because he trusts Bob, lets Bob
Mhm.
know, hey, Dylan's
Mhm.
throwing your name out there. What?
Mhm. Mhm.
Oh, I'm finna go talk to him. No, 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 don't talk to him. Tony, go talk to him. And Bob the drag queen races out of the room to go find Mr. Efron.
Mr. Efron, your tactical mind is fantastic because the way you drew Bob out to his own execution is fantastic. Over the course of episode 3 and 4, drawing Bob out to his own execution and having Boston
You
Rob.
know what I thought was funniest
Yes.
thing about this episode is like when they come back from that balloon challenge and
Mhm.
when even when they're at the banishment, everybody has glitter on their face.
Oh
Like
my God,
so
I did love
every
that.
every
Yes.
time they turn their head, they're just like glistening.
They're
So
glistening,
it's
very
really
much giving
funny seeing people
vampires.
like
Yes.
having these really serious conversations and they just got like glitter all
Yeah.
down the side of their neck.
Like Boston
Um
Rob. Yeah.
yeah, but Bob goes and he confirms with I think Brittany. We haven't talked a lot about her yet.
Lord, I forgot her. Yes.
Brittany from Big Brother,
Hmm.
um, and Nikki Bella,
Hmm.
and he goes and talks to them. And they're like, "Yeah, Dylan is throwing your name out, girl." Everybody's like, "Yeah, Dylan. Dylan came to me too, Dylan, and told the whole house that you're a traitor."
Mm-mm-mm.
And
And
I'm like, oof, this is gonna be tough for the girls.
because I wanted Bob the drag queen to course correct so badly, and he
Yes,
doubles down, and it looks
yes,
very bad.
yes. He is incredibly. I actually thought I was like, you know what? The round table was kind of bad, but like
Mm.
it was against Dylan, so you survived. I thought
Hmm.
the conversation that he has with Dylan after was like when he was like, I am a lot, but you are wrong. Like I thought
Yeah.
that was like a really great way to handle it. Like
That was so good.
he's
Yes,
like,
that should have
yes,
been the roundtable
I
conversation.
know I'm boisterous, I'm loud, I'm a lot, like, and that is my personality, and it may seem
Yes.
like I'm overcompensating, and you don't know that because you don't know me, but
Yeah.
like you're wrong, I'm not a traitor, because it's a great way to like be like, no, it's not
Hmm.
me, without being like too aggro, like
Yeah.
cop
Which he
to
did in the
the
roundtable.
accusations that he's using as evidence against you. Like, yeah, I'm a
Hmm.
lot, I'm over the top, I'm talking a lot, but like I always do
Hmm.
this. But then still deny like the main thesis.
Yes.
Like
Yes. Yes.
but at the round table though, I just think again, Robert is talking too much.
Too much and too loud and too angry. Oh my God, it made me
Like
so
I think
upset.
like he was able to like silence Dylan like
Hmm.
and win out in the court of public opinion, but like if a few of those people, I actually think what saved Bob here is how well liked he is, and it almost saved him
100%.
in episode 4 as well, because people were just like, I can't do that, no reason at all. I just can't do that. I love him so much,
Yeah.
and I was like, what are we
Yeah.
doing here? Are we trying to get money or what? Like,
Well, and then as Boston Rob whips the vote in a very effective way.
but here at this round table, when Dylan is accusing him, I think he has so much goodwill with the people at the table. They're just like, we don't want to hear that. Like,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know, and I will say Boston Rob also helped him here as well too, because Boston's Rob was like, I just want to keep my trader number strong as possible. I also think like if you know one of the traders already has a lot of sus on them, go ahead,
Mhm.
yeah. So Boston Rob turns against his homeboy Tony.
Throws him straight under that
He's
bus.
like, I'm gonna have to get my hands dirty. I don't
And for
want
the
to.
second time this episode, Tony's like, well, why am I in it?
Okay. um.
But that was hilarious.
So Mr. Dillon accuses Bob. Bob
Hmm.
accuses Dylan,
Hmm.
and once again, Bob accuses Dylan, but does not vote Dylan, and again votes Ivar. Girl. But that doesn't even really matter. That doesn't matter. Um.
Out of all the shows we watch, well, that says a lot. Or that doesn't. What am I trying to say to you? I don't think I would survive Survivor. I don't think that I would do well. Well, I don't know nothing about Big Brother, but I don't think I would do well on the challenge because of the physicalness. I feel like I would do very well on the Traitors. And so the agitation that I felt about this poor gameplay is what I imagine other people feel like you when you're watching the challenge and other things. Because I was like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing the most obvious things at all times?
Yeah.
Good Lord,
So
please, Bob. No.
so
Like
well,
we
Bob Harper starts the Tony train, and Boston Rob's like, "Ooh, there's an opportunity to save my traitor buddy.
ugh,
Throw
ruthless.
down my real life buddy for my
Uh-huh.
traitor buddy." Throws him
Hmm.
down. Tony is so hurt. I felt really
He's
sad for
really
Tony.
hurt, like genuinely hurt.
Like, and Tony is just like, oh, sick. What did he say
Yeah.
at the end? He's like, "You're a sellout, bro." So Tony gets voted out. He comes out. He's a faithful. He's pissed off. He goes off
Hmm.
crying. But Rob is sad. Jeremy is sad. Carolyn is
Hmm.
sick. Carolyn is like,
Hmm.
when you come off of Survivor, they tell you welcome to the family, and I'm just voting out my family left and right, cause y'all ain't done yet.
Well, yes, literally. Oh my gosh, what
um,
a mess that was.
but yes,
Yeah,
um,
the Tony
they
vote.
go home, and we're back in the turret.
Yes. And we have our people, and we see a little bit of, oh, like
Well, oh no,
a
no,
smidgen.
actually no, I lied. We're not in the turret. We see our traitors get a note that
Oh,
says,
yes. Oh my gosh, yes,
"You
yes,
guys
yes.
must conspire tonight in person in front of all of the faithfuls
Wild.
to put down three names for murder."
Is a question for you. I'm assuming this is the first time we've seen something like this.
Do 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 do.
At least
Yes,
maybe in the US version. Yeah,
yes.
okay. Okay, yeah. And they have to decide, but the scroll that they have to write it on is in the hidden bookcase.
Mhm.
But they don't have to meet in the hidden bookcase.
Mm.
And that's what made me mad. Anyway, we'll get to episode 4.
Yeah, well, I mean, but I mean, they have to meet to discuss it. Like, I would
Yeah.
rather meet and discuss it in the hidden bookcase than like meet. But I guess they could have just met and discussed it in the bar, and then like maybe two or three of them could have left, and then one person went and wrote the names down. But I was just
Yeah,
like,
like I wanted somebody to stand and run interference and make sure nobody went into the bar or like
yeah.
do some sort of like structural thing because then we wait, pause. Are we going into the or are we
The other thing is
stopping?
they couldn't find each other. Like we're not going into. We're gonna stop and then we'll film episode 4.
Okay.
We're like the other thing is like they couldn't find each other, so
Hmm.
over time like two of them got together and just walked to the bookcase, and then somebody else came and joined, and then Carolyn came and joined last.
Oh yeah, because Carolyn said something about like galloping around. She's like, I'm just galloping around trying to find everybody, and I was like, you
Yeah,
are
Carolyn
lucky
is literally
galloping.
like walking up to conversations, like looking, not seeing any traitors, and going, "Nope, not you guys." I thought that was
God
funny.
bless her for that.
But
She was
but
so
it's
cute.
so on brand for her. Like people just don't
Hmm.
even bat an eye. Like this is
She's
why
doing such a good job.
I just think that like she's playing with house money.
I
Um
like her. I didn't like her at first because she agitated me, but now that I know that she's really always like that, I do like her.
so they get to talking, and
What a mess.
Danielle immediately, we should throw Carolyn in there.
Why? I mean, I understand like why in terms of the rules of like you can throw a traitor in there.
It's not a bad thought, but
I just don't think
coming
it should have been
from
Carolyn.
Danielle, it just seems like another bad overplay. Like it just seems like I actually think Danielle and Bob the Drag Queen's real issue is that they are like deeply underestimating everybody else in the game.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
um
Including their fellow traitors.
yes, they are really just thinking that like none of the faithfuls are like as smart or as conniving as them. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
really like high
Mm-hmm.
on their own supply right now.
Mm-hmm.
But Carolyn comes in and Danielle's like, "Do you mind if we throw you?" And she's like, "Hell no, girl. Why don't we throw you in there? What's wrong with you?"
Yes. I think throwing Danielle in there probably would have been a good idea.
Now they decide to put Jeremy, Nikki Bella, and
Mm-hmm.
Sierra. I thought these were bad votes. I
I
also,
was baffled,
for all of
legitimately baffled.
for all of the yelling that Bob the drag queen did about all of the women and Danielle did about all of the women being the ones volunteering on that first challenge, y'all ain't targeted nobody but women. Like, let's clock that.
Oh my gosh, yes,
Um,
that is true.
because I was like, why is Sierra in this? Like, this is like I know you want to like put sus on her, and like that's fine, but like Why
These
is
seem like
Sierra in
really
this?
bad picks to me. Like I was genuinely confused.
I was too. I don't know. Like I know Jeremy is in here because he's on to Danielle, and Danielle's like
But that,
he said my
yeah.
name, and I'm just like,
But that to
okay,
me was what made it a bad pick, because I was like, he's obviously been saying your name and then he ends up in a coffin.
yeah,
What are we doing? What are we
like
doing?
I know that's why she like wanted him, but I don't know why they are letting her dictate so many of these moves. I actually like that. I kind of loved the move from Boston Rob in episode 4. So, um, but yeah, I don't know. Like, who would you have put in these coffins?
Ooh, now that is a very good question. I would have done. I think Bob's original idea about chaos would have been appropriate in this situation. Um, I think I would have. Oh wait, no, because we have to exclude people. Emotionally, who I would put in would be different than I probably. No, I would put Tom in there. I would put Tom in there,
Mhm.
emotionally and gameplay wise. Um, I would put Derek in there. I put Robin in there.
Oh, you know what? Robin is an interesting choice because everybody already thinks she's a traitor. I probably would have put Ivar in there one because he just annoys me. He's so
That's why I
boring.
picked Tom.
Every time he comes on TV, I'm just like, boo, get him off. I would have put Ivar in there if I was them. I probably would have eliminated like Sam or Tom, like someone who was
Yes,
just well,
exactly.
I guess in that sense, then Jeremy is not a bad pick. Someone who is just like so clearly a faithful that like nobody's ever gonna banish them because
Hmm.
nobody believes they're a traitor, um, and they haven't said any of our names, so it can't really be tied to any of us.
Yeah.
Like Tom has thrown out so many names, it's just like whatever. Like everybody's just like you're faithful with no information. Like like it's clear because
Truly.
you just swing so wildly. But I probably would have banished him or Sam. I think like or like maybe even in like a Brittany, just someone just
Yeah.
like super faithful coded, get him out of
Yeah.
here.
I love that.
Because I think like you can always convince people that Jeremy is a traitor. Possibly, you can be like, look, he's a survivor player,
Yeah.
he's a game player, he won.
Yeah.
Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all.
I
He's
just
played Survivor 3 times. Like, what are y'all talking about?
anything. But they just yeah, that's what they did instead.
Yeah,
I wish I had more information about the conversation between the four of them, because I'm assuming they're going with some sort of voting model. And so I'm like wondering how they're getting the votes amongst themselves in order to make these decisions once we have Boston Raw. Because
I think Boston Rob like has realized that excuse me, that
Mhm.
Bob the drag queen and Danielle are like just such a pair. That's why I also think it's a good idea that he did get rid of one of them. That those two are just such a pair that they are they're just controlling this room. So he's like, okay, like let me just kind of get on board. So for
Mhm.
cohesion, that was his thing in the first like 2 episodes that we see him as a traitor. He's just like
True.
cohesion is like the most important thing, so I'll do what they want. I'll do what they want. But like what they want is the wrong thing, and it's
Yes.
getting a little ridiculous.
And it is getting very
But
ridiculous.
that's that's really where we end this episode. We do
Hmm.
see our girl Gabby go in there, and then it looks like she hears something, and she's like peep peep peep, and then she skedaddles.
She does in fact skedaddle in her very cute outfit, yes.
So that's all that we have for episode 1 through 3. If you can't tell, like we've already seen episode 4. Um, so we're gonna record another video of us talking specifically about episode 4. So please check that out. That'll be uploaded shortly after you see this one, so it should be up by the
Mhm.
time you're seeing this one. Check
Yes.
the playlist. It will be linked in the description below for your viewing pleasure.
Mhm.
Thank
I
you for
have as much.
watching. We've been the Reality Roundup. I'm Mariama. That's Maddie. See you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.